สวัสดีครับผมก็กลับมากันอีกแล้วนะครับในคลิปพอดแคสต์เป็นพอดแคสต์ที่2ซึ่งในคลิปนี้เนี่ยเราจะมาพูดถึงหัวข้อในเรื่อง AI กันนะครับซึ่งน่าจะเป็นสิ่งที่เป็นสิ่งที่มี Impact มากในตอนนี้ซึ่งหัวข้อในเรื่อง AI ที่ผมเลือกมาเนี่ยก็คือผลกระทบของ AI ที่อาจจะเกิดขึ้นกับโปรแกรมเมอร์ในการทำงานอะไรประมาณนี้นะครับก็พอจะพูดถึงเรื่องนี้เนี่ยผมก็เลยชวนเพื่อนผมคนหนึ่งมาซึ่งเขาก็เป็นคนอเมริกานะครับเรียนสาย CS แล้วก็ทำรีเสิร์ชอะไรหลายๆอย่างเกี่ยวกับ AI ก็ผมว่ามันน่าจะเป็นมุมมองที่น่าสนใจในการที่ได้มาเห็นว่าเนี่ยคนอเมริกาเขาคิดยังไงกับเรื่องนี้เกี่ยวกับเรื่อง AI มันน่าจะน่าสนใจเพราะว่าเขาก็ทำรีเสิร์ชด้าน AI แล้วเขาก็น่าจะมีการใช้ AI ในการเรียนรู้สายของเขาด้วยซึ่งก็คือสาย CS หรือว่าวิทยาศาสตร์คอมพิวเตอร์เนี่ยก็เดี๋ยวลองมาดูกันครับว่าจะเป็นยังไงก็นี่ก็เป็นแค่ความคิดเห็นส่วนตัวของพวกผมนะครับผมกับเพื่อนผมเนี่ยก็เป็นแค่เด็กมหาลัยปี2ก็ถ้ามีเรื่องไหนพูดผิดหรือพูดผิดบ้างหรือพูดถูกบ้างก็ต้องขออภัยไว้ณที่นี้ด้วยแต่ถ้ามีเรื่องไหนที่อยากจะแชร์หรือว่าเรื่องไหนที่คิดว่าเราควรรู้เนี่ยก็สามารถคอมเมนต์ไว้ได้ที่ใต้คอมเมนต์นะครับ Okay, so welcome Abe Mather, Mr. Abe Mather.
Thank you for having me, Frankie.
Yeah, no problem. So this is my friend Abe. He's a sophomore, computer science and data science at my school. He's a stellar student with good grades, ahead of his studies, and right now he's pursuing graduate course starting next year. He has experience with developing language models, vision models, and other types of AI. Yeah, he also has experience on software, cybersecurity, and networking industry for 2 summers. So, Abe, can you talk about your project that you are currently doing right now?
Yeah, thank you, Frankie, for the very kind introduction. Like you said, my name is Abe, and what I'm working on right now is it's part of an online competition, online data science competition, where the goal is to solve, RNA in biology, like DNA, RNA, trying to predict the structure of an RNA, which can help with new medicines and new drugs. So it's an online competition and where you submit your code, see how well you do, and the best, get some money. So hopefully I can do pretty well in that competition.
Hope you good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Abe, first question. Do you usually use AI in your project or your work?
Yeah, so in school I do a lot of CS and computer science and data science projects. So do I use AI in them? Yes, I do use AI. So sometimes I'll forget functions, I'll forget different functions or variable names in the system. And the thing is, I know what they do, and I could write it. I would just have to look up what the name is. But these are things that I know I just forgot. So every bit of code that you'll see in all my code, I understand what it means. If you say, hey, can you explain this part? I'll be 100%. So I don't believe in just giving, ChatGPT my entire code and asking it to do something I have no idea. I don't believe in that. I just use it to save some time, basically. I think sometimes I have things that I don't understand. For example, today I was looking at density and how to calculate that with a 3D model. So I could have, given it to ChatGPT and said hey, can you write this code? But my first step when I don't understand something is to Google search it. I don't know if you've heard of Stack Overflow. But yeah, so they have a lot of useful things. And I think there's something special about getting an answer from a human, because humans don't give perfect answers. Machines do, ChatGPT might, but humans give flawed answers. So I think it's a skill, learning to understand what humans are saying. But, at the end of the day, if I can't get an answer through Stack Overflow or Google search, then I use AI and then try to, once I write that AI, once AI writes that code, then I try to understand it, afterwards. So I can still explain the code afterwards. But yeah, as an RBE student, I'm CSDS, but as a robotics student, how do you use AI?
I mean, actually, like similar to you, when we code robots, sometimes when we forgot some syntax or when maybe we're not sure with like the how are this structure actually been written in like this type of language. Yeah, we usually use AI to like look it up because it's like much faster and like yeah.
Yeah, like the teacher's not always there, right?
Yeah, because the teacher is not always there. But I think the point that you made is like actually very important that you still need to understand the code, right? Even though you ask AI. I mean, other than like coding, I think I also use AI on writing essay. I mean, okay, writing essay, but like not the whole thing though. Not the whole,
Disclaimer,
not
not
the
the
whole
whole
thing.
thing.
Yeah, not
Okay.
the whole thing. Not the entire idea. I mean, as I'm like a second, my English is my second language, right? So most of the time when I try to get my ideas out to write my essay, and I also need to care about structure, grammar, how to phrase this sentence to make it nice. It's pretty hard for me to actually like think about all those things at the same time. So I use AI on like I kind of like I have my ideas out, I type it out in the way that I don't care about my grammar at all. I don't care about the structure at all. But I just type all my idea out in like bullet points, something like that, and kind of like let AI structure and phrase it for me.
Okay.
That's how
Yeah, I
use
think
it.
that's really important, especially for like people with English not as their first language. But I'd ask you this, like, do you think, let's say you've been using ChatGPT since last year, and then this year, do you think your English would have improved better if you hadn't used ChatGPT, or do you think, or you think it's like roughly the same? And then the second question would be like, if like, do you think this is a long-term solution where you'll use like, for the rest of your time here in America or when working anywhere, you'll use ChatGPT when you need to like write an essay? Do you see this as a long-term thing?
You mean like only in terms of writing, right? Only for.
Yeah, only for writing, like English writing, yeah.
I mean, I feel like it depends on like different types of writing also. I would say it depends on like how much I'm gonna use AI for different types of writing, I would say. But like most of my writing, I plan to use AI a lot. That's what I feel like. But if it's like a writing that's really needs like my own style of writing, if I need to write like a book, like kind of like a non-fictional, wait, is it no, I mean fictional, right? That is not scientific.
Yeah, fictional.
That is like really need kind of like human feeling into it.
Yeah.
I think I would use AI less, but I would still use AI. That's what
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, again for like the grammar, right? So like you
Yeah.
want to capture your own feelings, right? But
Yeah.
with like the grammar and the syntax of like from ChatGPT.
Yeah, but if it's just like
Understand
a
that.
writing that is like more like informative, just like stating some information, just like let them know about information. They don't really need to feel anything with it. I would use AI because it saves a lot of my time. Yeah, that's what
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think I think it's important that you draw the boundary, when it comes to feelings, because, using AI a lot, at least when you're trying to convey feelings, is like, it's a machine. It can't like understand your feelings. So I think that's a really like mismatch.
Okay, so actually right now, I think there is like a debate in Thailand, actually globally, not only in Thailand, but especially for Thai programmers who are YouTubers, they are kind of like debating about, I mean, will AI replace with programmers? And I think that this debate is actually like keep going on, and it's not gonna end, and it won't end, and it's kind of unhealthy because people in the social media, they still have different standards of like the word programmers. Some people who are in the industry, they define the word programmer in a different way comparing to like normal people, something like that. So before getting into like this conversation, so I want to ask you first, like, how would you define a word programmer? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question and a pretty a pretty deep question if you ask me. But I think like growing up, I thought like programmer was some like nerdy guy, you know, in front of his computer all day, like hacking like servers or the government, something. But as I grew older, I thought, and I saw other people thinking it was that, but then I thought it was like problem solver, being a problem solver. And so whether your problem is like, you know, solving a Rubik's Cube automatic, like you want to make something to do it quickly, or whether you're coding, you know, like Amazon.com, like a web platform, it's about solving a problem. So like solving the problem of e-commerce, solving a Rubik's Cube. So that's how I define a programmer. And then somebody who uses like the power of computers in order to solve that problem. So that's how I would define a programmer, yeah. What about you?
I mean, for me, I think it's also similar to you actually. Like, yeah, using software to solve kind of like problems, something like that. But actually, for this context, for in this conversation, I think I wanna know your opinion more on like how skilled should this person be to be called as like a programmer, or is there like different terms for like the level of expertise for programmers in like CS industry, because I don't really know about this.
Yeah, so, well, I consider like, I guess like a good programmer, this still might not be answering your question, so let me know, but someone who can like solve a problem better than a human. So using my Rubik's Cube example, you know, a robot can do it like much faster than a human. Or for example, Amazon.com, instead of having to like, you know, call a sales representative saying, you know, I want like a t-shirt, I want some shoes, it's quicker and it's cheaper and faster, you know, to just like, you know, drag and drop and enter your credit card. It's all faster than like, you know, either going to the store or like calling someone else. So in my opinion, like a programmer or a good programmer is somebody who is able to like do something better than if it were a human. Better meaning like efficient, cheaper, faster. Does that kind of answer your question? Or maybe not still.
I mean, not
because like I think like it's hard to answer your question because I feel like programming is it's a very broad and like abstract concept. You have people working on like programming like very optimized like thing, like where should I, for example, place this windmill, like optimization problems, like if you have a bunch of windmills, all right, and you need to place it in the correct like orientation so you maximize electricity, you know, that's a level of programming. Then there's programmers who program like websites and Amazon.com.
Okay.
So it's a very broad like, you know, industry. So
okay, actually I think I might phrase the question not really well to like my purpose on this. Sorry guys, you know, first time we are first time podcaster.
All right, yeah
but time. Like what I want to ask you is more like because I want to like lead this question to kind of like how would AI like how can AI replace programmers, and I know that there's going to be like different levels of expertise that AI can be replaced, you know, because like right now in the present AI can actually code like well, but like it might be able to like replace the job of like this skill level of programmers, but like not like there's more skill programmers. So is there like a terms or words for that, you know, for
yeah I think like they have different tier. I like a company, you know, big company like Amazon, Microsoft, they have like, I believe this is I've never worked there, but they have like different tiers, you know, like lowest tier, like maybe eight tier, like 8th tier, 7th tier, 6th tier, you know, all the way from the intern to like the junior developer, senior developer, like project manager, stuff like that. And yeah, I think like definitely the low level like intern, which I am, you know, a lot, the low level intern, I think, you know, our job can be replaced because most of the time when I did an internship was I get told to like do something. I didn't always understand everything, but I would get told to do something and then I would have to like write the code. And so I think that's something we can replace with AI. We already have replaced it, but the higher level programmers who are not programming as much, more like product management, more like determining like, hey, what feature does our product need? You know, like if we're doing Amazon.com, we can say like, you know, right now people can buy, let's say they can buy t-shirts right now, but they cannot buy like shoes right now. So we should add that feature.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, a more complicated example, but a senior level developer like knows the product, knows what improvements it needs, and can therefore like either program that new improvement or then like tell other people or an AI to program that. So I think, yeah, so as a recap of what I said, like the low level guy can get replaced, like the intern can get replaced, but the senior level for right now, I don't think can get replaced. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers my question pretty. But even though like the first part that you said didn't answer my question, but I think it's a pretty good insights for like our viewers to actually understand like the definition of programmer. So yeah,
because there's so many different like things, and like I remember because I thought about this when like a kid, you know, or like a guy my age like 3 years ago was like why is there like he was like, you know, I don't want to be a programmer. He loved math, but he didn't like want to be a programmer because he didn't like the stereotypical like all day, you know, hunched back over programmer. But I was like, hey, you know, you love math, and like, you know, programming is basically math, or at least some parts of it. So that really got me thinking about that question.
So I think that another point that make a confusion in like a debate about this topic is about the timeline actually, because when people are arguing about this, I feel like they're not really sure if like they're talking about AI in the present or in the future or even in the past, I think. So in your opinion, for the present, in the present, what's the capabilities of AI right now? Like how much does it can do in coding?
Yeah, so I would say in my opinion, the best model right now is Gemini 2.5, 2.5 Pro from Google. And so I was testing it the other day, just briefly, and I even tested it with Frankie. And we saw, you know, it can generate apps, like an app that like renders a Rubik's Cube and is able to solve it, like an app that does that, was able to do it flawlessly. Also like websites, games, does it pretty well. I would say when you come to more complicated apps, sometimes it gets some code wrong, and then you'll run it and you'll see there's an error. So in my opinion, you know, AI, like a human, okay, let's say a human, when they answer a question, they sometimes acknowledge when they're wrong. So if your teacher's like, what is the integral of like 5 to the whatever, and you're like, I think it's 2, but like, I'm not sure. So humans are like unsure sometimes, right? But AI will just, you know, whatever the closest answer it thinks is, it'll just say that, even if it's wrong sometimes. So that's why I believe, you know, humans still need to be there to check the code, because the code doesn't always run. So it can do like, you know, single app, you know, like make a website, make this game, like small game. But when it comes to doing multiple different like features with like big features within an app or within a game, that's when it gets, you know, pretty dicey still. And I think sometimes they'll try to write the code, but it'll have some errors in it. So an example would be, let's say you're trying to make Amazon.com or like an e-commerce shopping platform. It will, I mean, I'm not sure, but I think it would generate, you know, the whole catalog. You can like click on buy stuff, and then you say also make an authentication service where you can like put in your email, your password, and it might make a error there. So when you try to do a lot of things, there happens to be some errors.
So you would say that like the capabilities of AI right now, it can actually like what you already said, it can actually like replace programmers who are doing like, I don't know, like some not really in-depth stuff for sure, like kind of like broad stuff that doesn't really need the understanding of code that much, something like that, right?
Yeah, more like with stuff that doesn't need the understanding of like the overall picture. So like little subsections of the code. Like for example, if you want to say, hey, make a like in my game, make make it able to go left, right, front, back. It can do that flawlessly. But when it comes to like orchestrating, the game and like the back end service and orchestrating the like all the behind the scenes networking, that's when it comes into trouble. And that's kind of what I got into earlier, which is like, a senior engineer who understands a little bit about all of those different like aspects of an app. That guy can't get replaced by AI just yet.
But like you said, these people who are interns or like junior, do you call like them mid-level, junior level, something like that, right? Or like, I mean, if they got replaced by AI, like at this point, how are they going to like develop into a senior then if they don't get a job?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And like what happens when like their senior ran out,
Yeah, so hopefully, I mean, that's a very good question, right? If you don't allow any new juniors, how can you get the people who like understand? And yeah, I don't know if people get replaced as juniors, I don't know who's gonna know the full architecture of the app. And then maybe by then AI will be good enough to be in a senior role. So then we don't need any programmers at all. But that's a good point you raise.
Actually that like the point you just made is kind of like the next question that we're going to talk about now. So about future then, like you said, AI might actually be able to replace senior, right? But if we talk about in a range of like maybe next 5 years, like what's the capability of it in the next 5 years? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think and AI is such a fast moving industry that you can't really, like take what happened in the past and then extrapolate to the future, because like AI is like exponentially growing. But just to use the past a little bit, like, AI just like 2 years ago, or like 3 might have been like 3 years ago when ChatGPT came out, like you could only use it for a very small like subsection of code and have it do perfectly. For example, if you're like write a for loop where you like increment and you every time you add a new value to the database, like it could do that. And then now it can like write whole like small applications, small websites, small games. And then maybe I think like, and I'm no like big expert, so this might be completely wrong, but maybe in the next 10-15 years it'll be able to take over like a senior like developer's role, where the AI truly understands the whole project. Like you can just drop in, the whole project into ChatGPT and it just understands, says like, okay, I understand everything. Now let me first see what new features to make, and then I can make those new features myself. So yeah, I think maybe like 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like we can't really tell at all, like how is it going to turn out, even in like next 2 or 3 years. We can't really tell at all. It might not be like what we talk at all either, or it might be like what you said, replacing the seniors. Yeah. Okay, so this is kind of like the last question for our podcast. So how would you prepare yourself for like the job industry, and also like how would you give other students advice, or other students who are in high school right now, something like that, to prepare themselves for like CS field, CS major, something like that, to not getting replaced by AI?
Yeah, I think that's a very like honestly I think that's like a multi-million-dollar question, is like how do I future-proof myself in this like times when everything's changing. But I would say, well, personally, I'm trying to get into the machine learning research field. So that's like, developing ChatGPT and like those models, which uses a lot of like data science skills, a lot of math skills. So I think it's like, hard to get replaced when you're like, the guy making the model, unless the model can make itself. But that's for another day. But so that's what I'm trying to do. But I think for other CS students who want to get into like front end, back end, full stack development, I think just really develop skills that can't be replaced. So I think the first one is like problem solving. So I know they have like leak code. I know as much as people hate leak code, like really working on your problem solving skills, like doing puzzles, that kind of stuff. Because there's always because AI can look at the past, what people have done in the past, and do it in the future. But like sometimes you can give you can sell yourself as being someone who can solve the future problems, not the past problems. So working on your problem solving skills and being able to like solve, the future's problems is a way, so like learning math and stuff like that. I think that's a way to really future proof yourself. And then I would say a second thing is like learning new skills. So learning like the latest frameworks, the latest like programming languages. I know like Rust is really getting popular now. So like learning the new skills and then being able to think critically with those new skills is a way I think you can future-proof yourself. But then again, with the rapid pace of development, maybe AI can just do it itself. It can learn a new language or learn a new like type of problem by itself. So that's what I currently think. But yeah, what do you think, Frankie? As an RBE student, I think both on the programming side and then the mechanical side, how people can future-proof themselves.
Yeah. So like yeah, so like if everyone knows robotics field like composed with mechanical side, electrical side, and computer science side. Yeah. So in my opinion, I think on the software, on the computer science side, it can actually get replaced by AI pretty easily. And on more the mechanical side, I think it depends on that right now might not get replaced by AI, but like it depends on the times right now. But I think one day it's gonna come for sure. As you guys might know, like Tesla have their own humanoid robots, and it can do almost everything that human can do, and sometimes like even stronger than human at some point. But right now it might not be able to like do some so detailed stuff, but it's a matter of time. That's more like a matter of time. One day it will be able to do it. So yeah, so I think the next generation would be about robotics also. And then once there's robotics who human have made, and then I feel like on the mechanical side, robot will just make the robot itself.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and I feel like robotic field someday might not need humans anymore. Like similar to like CS field, but like maybe CS field might come a bit like faster than robotics field.
Yeah, I think it's definitely easier when, like, for a robot, like for programming AI, their only input is like the keyboard, the different to write code. But like a robot, they have vision, they have speech, they have so many different things that they need. It's just the physical world is a lot harder to deal with. So I think, yeah, like you said, it's only a matter of time, because I think they've mastered the digital, or almost mastered the digital domain. Now it's time to go to the real world.
Actually, I think the AI will help improve us to be able to handle with like the real world factors, real world environment. I think AI gonna like accelerate every part of like the tech industry, not even like software side, but like on the mechanical side, like we can use AI to calculate stuff. And
yeah, and I think that kind of connects to what I was saying earlier, specifically about the CS side. Like, I see people as like being a senior, like AI replacing the lower level, and then people being like senior or manager. So yeah, like just in general, like, like a senior and manager, they need more soft skills, talking to like stakeholders, talking to like other managers, their level, and then, talking to the lower level developers who can then get replaced by AI. So like, knowing how to use AI. But yeah, I think I see, everyone kind of being a manager in the future. And I think, with a lot of people, hopefully that means a bunch of businesses, a bunch of different businesses. Each person, can like, do their own thing and kind of be the manager of their own little like thing, and they would require soft skills. But I think something that I just wanted to reiterate on that I said earlier is that like AI takes what, you know, it learns based off the past. It learns off of what people have used in the past. So if you want to do something like new, something creative, then like, you know, AI, you can't use AI because AI has only done what's in the past. So I think anybody who's doing new stuff, creative stuff, innovative stuff, I don't think you'll get replaced by AI.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for our podcast today. So thank you so much, Mr. Abe Mather.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So do you have any like contact or channels where people can like follow you on?
Yeah, I just have a YouTube channel. If you all, I think we'll probably put it in the description down below. Down below. Yeah, follow me. I try to post some of my projects, and that I'll do in the future there. So yeah, if you like that, give it a follow.
Right. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video. ก็ขอบคุณอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะครับที่มาดูก็หวังว่าน่าจะเป็นไอเดียเป็น perspective ที่แปลกใหม่ก็ถ้ามีความคิดเห็นกันยังไงคอมเมนต์กันด้านล่างนะครับอย่าลืมกด subscribe และกดแชร์และแชร์โอเคสวัสดีครับ